Hey everybody, it's Nikki, and it's like my fourth attempt on making the next video that is not medical advice. It's personal experience, personal opinion. It's Afrezza, and I am 6 months overdue in posting this, even though I really do know that nobody's waiting for it. But this is to satisfy my own desire to share some information about Afrezza. And that is because there was really kind of no bigger skeptic when it came to Afrezza than myself. And that's only because I have a history of using some IV insulin, the 670G, the different pumps, the Omnipod, the MDI. So I know at this point I know quite a bit kind of about insulin. And there were some pretty tall tales about what Afrezza was and what it could do, and I was skeptical. Then I actually came across some. I was able to use it for a couple of months, which was a really, the right amount of time to get a feeling for it. And I was really impressed, and I stand corrected. So I am 6 months late in doing this so that my own brain can rest when I go to sleep at night, knowing that I've made right in the universe what I had done wrong by Afrezza. Okay. So I'm putting up a video. I've been putting up a link in the description that is to a Google Doc that is 49 pages of everything you didn't need to know about Afrezza. And this is my short version, 2.5 minutes in. But so I think I'm just going to kind of read it because my head is starting to hurt. Okay, so yes, not medical advice, just personal experience and wanting to share. Okay. Had the opportunity to try out Afrezza, which is an inhalable insulin. If you do not know, it's the first inhalable insulin. And I just got a chance to try it out about 6 months ago. Again, it's taken me this long to make the video. And I was surprised by how much I liked it. I had heard a couple of negative things about it. I do want to address some of those things towards the end. There was some concern over coughing and over whether or not there could be lung tumors or pulmonary disease and stuff like that. And that is something that I want to address, but like I said, I really do want to share what I've learned about Afrezza, and that is because in general, sorry, there's rumbling somewhere. In general, it's a really good drug, and as far as what it does for my diabetes and for some of those negative emotions that come with being diabetic, I really am fond of it. But I'll discuss it all. Okay, it is not a new product. It's been out in the market for about 5 years. I only really kind of heard about it a year ago. Like I had heard of it, but I didn't know much about it. And about a year ago, I started to get some more information. 6 months ago, I got to try it. And I think that mankind is currently conducting studies within the pediatric population. So although I think they're struggling a little bit, if that's fair to say, I don't think they're down and out. I don't know. But they are working on a 2-unit cartridge to add to their collection of 4, 8, and 12. Okay, so the things that I found to be Afrezza's real strengths included its onset of action and action duration. So I do want to discuss those first, and then I'll talk a little bit about their available dosage sizes, overall ease of use, which is pretty sweet, shelf stability and expiration, price and accessibility, and all I'll say is that they're not all pretty sweet. They're kind of up and down a little bit. But onset of action and action duration are absolutely wonderful for me and the way I like to run my diabetes. So I'll start there. Oh my God, I'm 4 minutes in. Okay, onset of action. I'm starting with this one because this is what sets Afrezza apart from injectable insulin the way we're using it right now. So Novolog in general, or Humalog, or a pump bolus, or a subcutaneous injection, in general, what we're looking at is that these kinds of injections, these kinds of boluses are supposed to take 15 to 20 minutes before we see any kind of action, any kind of ripple. And they often are not doing any kind of peak until 90 minutes, and they have a tail that can last as long as up to 4 or 5 hours. In my case, I do about 3.5 hours, but 3.5 hours is a long time to still have insulin active. And 20 to 30 minutes to be able to see any evidence of a change in my blood sugar is also a really long time. And it's one of my least favorite parts of the disease is this, patience that I'm supposed to have with it. I don't like it. I like to know that if I've made a mistake, I would like to correct it and get back to doing the right thing rather than having to wallow in whatever mistakes I've made for the next 3.5 hours. And try my best not to make more mistakes, within that period of time. So I'm not a fan of the straight pump bolus, the straight subcutaneous shot. And I will also say that IM, which is intramuscular, is something that I learned how to do not that long ago. I guess a year and a half, 2 years ago. IM is faster, but it's not really surefire. Like you don't know whether or not you don't know whether or not you got it. So it might be faster or it might just have been a subcutaneous shot. And IV insulin, which is another tool that I have, which is where I do intravenous boluses, is really much faster. It's 5 minutes until it takes action. But it's fast and furious, and it's just it's a little more dangerous only because it's very powerful, and if you're not really paying close attention or you're overdoing it, you could really make some big mistakes. So those are my options the way I see them with injectable insulin. And then here comes Afrezza, this inhalable one, where the onset of action, which I think is much more comparable to IV than to a subcutaneous, is about 10 to 12 minutes. And I'm like, I think that's really fast. 5 minutes it's like presto, right? Like 5 minutes is great, but it's, it's, I don't want to call it dangerous either, but you really have to be paying attention to what you're doing, and you got to be following all the rules. And 20 or 30 minutes is just mean. Like it's really slow, and this disease sucks anyway. But 10 to 12 minutes in my mind is right in it's a good amount of time for me to be able to see that my insulin is doing something, and so I can kind of get on with my day. Okay, I'm not reading it. I should be reading this. All right, so that's 10 to 12 minutes, and that is the onset of action for Afrezza. I logged a few doses in order to compare what Afrezza was looking like compared to IV. And after 8 carefully logged tests, I found that Afrezza, on average, dropped my blood sugar 20 milligrams per deciliter around 12 minutes after dosing. So even though they're saying that the onset of action is around 12 minutes, it's really, I'm not just starting to see a change. Like I've seen a 20-point drop at 12 minutes. And I really like that. It's not enough to feel wild or like I'm about to plummet, but it's enough for me to know that my insulin is doing something. And if you've ever done a pump bolus and you've done it and you're waiting 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and when you test again, you see a very similar number to the first one, or you see a number that's 17 points higher, it's like, it feels like you don't know if you're coming or going, and you don't know, do you rage bolus, which I can do from time to time. So I like what Afrezza looks like. I will say about my observations, I really hate making generalizations about anything, but specifically when it comes to diabetes, because diabetes is just so freaking squirrely and all over the place, and it's hard to pin down, and on top of it, it's very unique to each one of us. So when I did my observations, I did try to kind of isolate what Afrezza was doing, but I can't guarantee that I wasn't rising one day and saw a 20-point drop. The next day I was falling and saw a 20-point drop. Like I couldn't necessarily say that those things weren't happening. But what I can say is that I saw an average drop of 20 points over 8 carefully logged observations, just meaning I was careful to test every 5 minutes for an hour. And the remainder of the 3 months that I used Afrezza, I saw very consistently the same type of numbers. So I feel really good that that's because, consistency, because predictability means consistency, and that must mean that's what it was doing. So that's what I want to say. And now I think my blood sugar is dropping, which It's great. Okay, so I'm gonna go fix that. But before I do, this is what I do. This is what I do when I get low. I start to panic that I'm missing other more important things. Okay, I'm gonna go treat my low, and then I'll be back. Thanks for watching. Bye.